VP Sara Duterte, pinatahimik si Hontiveros sa ginawang pagdinig sa confidential fund ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Naghayag ng pagkabahala ang minorya sa Senado kaugnay sa hinihiling na confidential funds ng Department of Education. Tiniyak ni Senador Aquilino Coco Pimentel III na aamyandahan ng minorya sa Senado ang 150 milyong pesong confidential fund na kalakip sa panukalang budget ng DepEd para sa taong 2023. Ayon sa Senate Minority Leader, dalawa ang posibleng kapalaran ng confidential fund. Ilalaban nila na amyandahan ang naturang budget. Una ay ilagay sa isang partikular na programa ng kagawaran na direktang may kinalaman sa edukasyon. At pangalawa ay ibigay na lamang ang pondo sa ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan na may kinalaman sa national security. If you wanted to remain as a funds education, then ilipat mo siya sa activity na directly education related, hindi national security and security related ayon kay Pimentel. Ginawa ni Senator Pimentel ang pahayag kasunod sa pagdinig ng Senado sa panukalang budget ng DepEd para sa susunod na taon na dinaluhan ni Vice President Secretary Sara Duterte. Pero ipinunto ni Senator Risa Hontiveros bakit hindi na lang aniya ipaubaya ang confidential funds sa ilang ahensya na sakop sa mga issue na nabanggit. Parang mas bagay honestly ang confidential funds and intelligence funds for existing national security, national defense, law enforcement, and even women and children protection bodies, ayon kay Hontiveros. Samantala, ipinunto naman ni Senador Win Gatchalian, kilalang kaalyado ng Vice Presidente. Wala namang problema sa pagkakaroon ng confidential fund, lalo na kung may mga issue na kailangang solusyonan. Ayon kay Win, chairman ng Senate Committee on Basic Education, totoong nangyayari sa mga paaralan sa buong bansa ang sexual na pang-aabuso, child abuse at iba pang krimen na kailangan ding matigil. Sa pagdinig, una nang sinabi ni Vice President Inday Sara Duterte na nasa Kongreso ang desisyon kung pagbibigyan ang kanyang kahilingan o hindi patungkol sa confidential funds and plenary debates sa budget ng iba't ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan ay nakatakdang umpisahan sa pagbabalik ng sesyon sa Senado sa buwan ng Nobyembre.
On a final note on this one, I recall during the SONA that the Secretary wore a Bagobo Tagabawa dress to raise public awareness on the plight of indigenous communities caught in armed conflicts. And knowing the Secretary's advocacy for peace and order, I would like to ask if DepEd, by way of affirmative action, might voluntarily realign its confidential fund to fully restore the budget cut on the IP education program. Or, as a prior question, Sec, para saan po ba yung confidential fund?
Yes, for our confidential funds, this is based on the Joint Circular 2015-01 of the COA, DBM, DILG, Governance Commission, and the Department of National Defense. And the use for this confidential funds is expenses pertaining or related to surveillance activities in civilian government agencies that are intended to support the mandate or operations of the agency, particularly those listed in 4.8 of the Joint Circular. And that is the purchase of information necessary for the formulation and implementation of programs, activities, and projects relevant to the national security and peace and order, rental of transport vehicles related to confidential activities, rentals and incidental expenses related to the maintenance of safe houses, purchase or rental of supplies, materials, and equipment for confidential operations that cannot be done through regular procedure without compromising the information gathering activity concerned, payment of rewards to informers, non-employee of concerned government agency subject to the following conditions of A, B, and C, and uncover, prevent illegal activities that pose a clear and present danger to agency, personnel, property, or other facilities and resources under the agency protection, done in coordination with appropriate law enforcement agencies, other than that, which may be authorized by the GAA. Some of the issues and challenges that we have encountered in our field operations are the drug involvement of our personnel and our learners. We already have a case where our teacher is selling drugs to our learners, and the all forms of abuses. We have physical abuse, we have sexual abuse, and other forms. And then there is also the recruitment in violent extremism and terrorism. We also have schools which are targeted for recruitment of learners in insurgency. We also have cases, and we are working right now on the involvement of our personnel and our learners in child pornography. We are currently working with this with the Department of Justice and other illegal activities that our learners are recruited inside our schools, as well as these scams of that are happening online and inside our schools, both of which victimize learners and teachers. These are just examples of cases that we have encountered in field operations.
Well, daghang salamat, Sec. I will return to my earlier question about realigning to restore fully the budget cut on the IP education program. But I do just feel the need, Madam Chair, to make of record na yung subject activities in the joint circular, parang mas bagay po, honestly, mas bagay pang confidential and intelligence funds for our existing national security, national defense, law enforcement, even women and children protection bodies, governmental bodies and programs. So just for the record on that, Madam Chair. But I'll return also to my question, Sec, kung bilang affirmative action, kung voluntarily po i-realign ng department yung confidential fund para makumpleto ulit yung natanggal na budget cut sa IP education program.
With regard to budget cuts, we can, within the Department of Education, we can work out realignments and realignments in our budget so that we can fund activities, programs, activities, and projects that need funding. With regard to the confidential funds, this is a proposal that we submitted to Congress. And as I said earlier, with regard to the confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President, we submit to the wisdom of Congress with regard to the amount and the proprietary matter on decision on the confidential funds. But we would like to put it on record that we reassure the Congress and the public that these funds will be used in relation to what is allowed in the joint circular of those agencies mentioned earlier, 2015-01. Thank you.
Salamat po, Sec. And I appreciate, Madam Chair, yung reiteration ni Secretary nung na-appreciate din ni Minority Leader kanina, yung unang sinabi nila sa House noon na the department will submit to the wisdom of Congress dun sa halaga kung mayroon man at yung propriety ng pagkakaroon ng confidential and intelligence funds ng department for such activities enumerated in the joint circular. So if I still have time, Madam Chair, in this round? Okay, salamat, Madam Chair. Balikan ko lang po yung sa ECCD, if the Secretary would care to add dun sa sinagot ni Sir Isip earlier, from the higher and the broader perspective of the department bilang ang ECCD program or ang ECCD Council attached agency, kung ano yung assessment ni Secretary about the ECCD program and what we can expect from the department to improve the performance of the ECCD councils para ma-fulfill nila yung mandate nila.
Right, yes, we already, after his question and answer earlier, we talked to Director Isip, and we asked him what is the problem with their procurement, and he made us understand that the problem is that they don't have an executive director in their council right now because their previous ED was coterminous with the appointing authority from the previous administration, and there is a pending paper application from the same executive director that is lodged with the office of the vice president. And we committed to him that we will, Yusek Densing committed to him that he will look into where the paper is right now, considering that there is also a change in the executive secretary position.
Salamat, Sec. In the interest of time, Madam Chair, nauna na yung staff ko magsabi sa akin bago ang chair. Time's up. I'll reserve some of my questions for the plenary deliberation on the budget of the DepEd. I thank the Chair and the Secretary, Vice President Sara Duterte, and the whole DepEd family for graciously answering my queries. And rest assured that I'm one with you in pursuit of an accessible, equitable, and quality basic education and addressing the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on learning. Salamat kaayo. Maraming salamat, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Senator Risa. Senator Francis, it's your turn.
In the interest of time,
You're the last and hopefully the least.
It's almost
Your Honor.
11 p.m. I am donating 5 minutes of my time to Senator De La Rosa, if he's here. Wala. So,
He told me he'll monitor. I'm having lang the secretariat call all of those who are reserved, who were virtually present.
so
meron pa
if
sila.
he's not here within 5 minutes, my other 5 minutes will be donated to the chairperson of this committee. So I have no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Been asking questions for the last 2 days.
Madam Chair, may I also donate my time for the second round to the chair because I have full support for everything that they've said and more. They have much work to do, so I can easily ask them anyway, but I'm so excited with the National Reading Program, and we would be happy to help the Vice President with that program. So, no more questions as well.
Para naman sa inyo, ano naman ang masasabi nyo tungkol dito? Magkomento lamang sa baba at huwag kalimutang mag-subscribe para updated ka sa mga maiinit na balita sa Pilipinas. Maraming salamat sa panonood.